speculating about Kevin Durant playing in Orlando needs to cease and desist once and for all, people. KD has told Mark Spears he will remain out for the season while rehabbing his torn Achilles from nearly a year ago. Kyrie Irving also telling friends he will not return to action because of his shoulder surgery. But according to Woj, Kyrie suggested on an NBPA conference call on Friday that he would like to join the Nets in Orlando for support.
So, John, what are your thoughts on Kyrie Irving, who has just become a very supportive teammate now?
Well, it's honestly a great change to see in Kyrie because, it's good to see that he's finally caring about other people than himself.
Drew, do you feel the same way? You think Kyrie's just really supportive now? All Kyrie wants to do is be there for his teammates?
I don't know about that one. It's questionable. I think a supportive teammate would be on the court playing, personally.
So, here's my biggest issue. Kyrie Irving gets injured for the Celtics in year 1. And then he misses Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron to go get a nose job and film his movie. Granted, he did mess up his nose because that was what he got surgery for. But he decided to schedule that on the same day as Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals for the Celtics, after not being there the whole series. So now Kyrie Irving's just a very supportive person, wants to be there for the Nets?
Dude, I think the big issue with Kyrie is that if anything goes wrong on the team, then he's not going to be happy, and he's going to be a just not very good presence to have on the team. Like KD, if he was playing, then Kyrie would be playing, I think, without a doubt. But because KD's not coming back, Kyrie's like, well, why would I come back?
I don't know. I think Kyrie without LeBron has been like the most destructive individual in the NBA, or at least one of them.
It's just bizarre because so many players have come out and said that they don't have an issue with Kyrie and that he's not this cancer and stuff, and I feel like you see that a lot. But why is like every single team that he's on, just there seems to be this big, like these problems that follow him everywhere he goes?
I would argue that, like against John's point, where I think he was destructive on the Cavs. He got there, they were horrible forever. LeBron showed up, recruited Kevin Love, Kyrie caused a fit, forced his way out of there, which made them get Isaiah Thomas, and that whole team fell apart.
Yeah.
I think the only time that Kyrie has really had success, though, is with LeBron. And the other teams that he's been the main leader of have all fallen apart.
And even then, having success with LeBron, he still wasn't happy. Like, the dude just can't ever be happy with what he has in the NBA. He always needs something more.
Well, he was winning with LeBron, but he wasn't in the limelight. So LeBron was getting all this credit. I mean, he won the Finals MVP for that great 2016 comeback, but Kyrie hit the shot. Kyrie scored,
I mean, can you see the same?
Not as many, but close to as many points as LeBron in that series.
Could you see the same thing happening with the Nets when KD and Kyrie return? Like Kyrie being the second fiddle and not.
I think people know that KD is the best player on that team.
Do you guys think Kyrie felt disrespected after he hit the shot to win the Cleveland Cavs their first championship in 50-some years?
Well, I think that's part of what it is, because that's why I think my question is a fair question, because KD is not the same guy as LeBron, where he's going to take literally all of the limelight and all of the media focus and whatnot. I feel like when you're second fiddle to LeBron, it's not like being second fiddle to anybody else in the NBA. Like he is the team. Like he's not just the star player on the team. He is the team. And I think that Kyrie had just had enough of that and wanted out. I don't blame him for that, but I mean, like when you see all of these issues over and over again pop up, I mean, the dude just doesn't seem to create a positive environment no matter where he goes or what the team's success is or who's around him. And I mean, I think that this experiment with KD could be one of Kyrie's like final. Like if it doesn't go well with KD, what are teams gonna say? Like pretty much everything will have been tried at that point, and Kyrie will have never been fulfilled. Like I would have a lot of trouble giving him $35 million or whatever when I know he's not going to be happy to be on my team, even with that money, and no matter who I put around him.
After next year, Kyrie will have played with 2 of the top 3 players on the planet, I'd say.
Like the best players of this generation.
Yeah. Probably in entire 2010s. After next year, he will have played with both. And if he doesn't have success with KD, then...
It's not if he doesn't have success, like, because he had success with LeBron. He's shown that he can have success. It's more of the culture and whatnot that, like, I need to see that he can, like, avoid having this just storm of media presence and of weird stories coming up where it's like, who knows if they're true or not. Like, that's just not something that you want to have in a winning culture, because it'll create a culture where you'll win one year and then maybe players will want to get the heck out or whatever, and it's just like this constantly changing organization that, I don't know, no one wants that for their organization, I feel like.
To even further John's point, not only has he played with 2 of the best players in the league, but you could argue that the young core of the Celtics, he's played with one of the best young cores in the league, and he pretty much ruined their development when he was there.
Yeah, they were way better when he was off the court.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking for a second now about, Kyrie Irving, is he supportive? Has he changed? Is he a good teammate? I just think he wants to get out of his quarantine life, get away from his family, and go and smoke pot with other NBA players, maybe try and recruit a 3rd star to his team in the summer. I don't think any part of him cares what the Nets do.
Oh, no, dude, of course. He just wants to go down to Disney World away from quarantine and whatnot and go have some fun. I mean, I don't blame him either.
Just go hang out with his boys.
I would do the same thing, although I do blame him for not playing, because he should be playing.
They draft these guys, they use them up in a couple of years, and then tell them they can't pay them because they have too much tread off of their tires. Booger, I'll just ask you directly. We've seen some of the moves that have been made. We've seen how they have turned out. Do you believe the Vikings, in this case, should go in big the way the Cowboys did and pay all this money to a running back?
Well, I think they have to, Greeny. If you look at how valuable he is to their team and you understand what Mike Zimmer wants to do, let's not forget the backstory. Mike Zimmer fired John DeFilippo because he wasn't running the football enough. You bring in Kevin Stefanski to make this offense a more run-based offense. They want to run the football. Zimmer is a defensive coach. He wants to protect his defense. That's how they want to play football. So if you're going to play that way, you got to have a running back.
John, what are your thoughts?
My question is, what does he consider a reasonable deal? Because is a reasonable deal, Christian McCaffrey money? Is it, what Todd Gurley got? Is it less than that? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he probably considers himself a top 5 running back in the league, but I don't know. Is he? I mean, Kirk Cousins just got a big payday, and I'm sure he probably considers himself of a little bit more value than Kirk Cousins. I mean, in terms of offensive skill, but I don't know. What do you think, Drew?
I actually hadn't heard this one yet. That's pretty interesting. I mean, it's basically the same thing Zeke did. They're going to have to cave.
Well, Zeke was asking for big money.
Dalvin Cook should
what's
be
a reasonable deal?
Dalvin Cook should be asking for big money, Zeke money. Dalvin Cook is as good as Zeke, if not better. Dalvin Cook was an absolute monster last year. He was the only reason that team did anything. And so they're going to have to pay him.
To give you guys some more numbers, Christian McCaffrey is the highest paid running back. He's got $16 million a year. Elliott got $15 million a year guaranteed, and the Minnesota Vikings currently have $13.1 million in cap space. So what is reasonable?
$15 million per year.
I'd say 15 too.
That's reasonable. What I was just thinking about, really quickly, so this is a really cool scenario. It's a tangent. But Dalvin Cook sits out for contract reasons, doesn't play. The Vikings having to lean on Kirk Cousins are terrible. get one of the top overall picks, Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, there would be 1 year left on Kirk Cousins' deal. But regardless, you're going to have to pay Dalvin Cook eventually, I should also say. But I think that would be pretty cool.
Do you guys think there's any chance he does something similar to Le'Veon Bell where he just holds out for the year and hits free agency?
Yeah, I could see it.
I don't think I know enough about Dalvin Cook. I don't know if he's the type of guy who's kind of diva like that and would really stick to it and hold out that entire year just on his own principle, just because he's being petty and wants that money.
No. All right, see, I completely disagree with you on that, because there are some players who are sitting out being petty and stuff, but then there are other players who deserve their money. And he's one of the guys that I feel like deserves his money. Because the running back is a sad state in the NFL right now because they just get used up on their rookie deal, and then they're not given an extension. They're let loose to free agency, and it's tough for them to get money. And I think when you are a generational guy like Dalvin Cook, who was absolutely spectacular last year, easily a top 3 running back in the NFL, and he wants to get paid, because why would he go out there and risk getting injured and potentially losing all of that money, especially when he's already had one of those big injuries before? He had an ACL tear, right? So he had an ACL tear before. It's like, why risk it? I deserve to get paid. I put this team on my back. I shouldered the workload. I deserve to get paid just like Kirk Cousins has.
I'm not saying he shouldn't get paid. It's just historically when teams pay their running backs, they don't have a lot of success.
I think it's really interesting from the Vikings standpoint because, as you mentioned earlier, he's already suffered a major injury. The running back position is not a position where you want to necessarily drop $15 million. I wouldn't draft a running back in the first round, almost never. Wouldn't pay a running back big money. Do you really want to drop the rest of your cap space on Dalvin Cook right now?
The Vikings have been notorious, especially of late as well, for bad contracts. And this is one that while I believe he deserves his money, I will also say that it is a contract that I would say is probable to end up being a disaster at the end of it. Or he's going to have to be cut or something. I mean, he's just not... now that I'm looking at it, he's about to turn 25 before the season starts. August 10th is his birthday. So if you're offering him a 4-year deal, you're paying him $15 million or about that his age 29 season, which is usually not very successful for running backs, much less a guy who's had an ACL tear.
I agree with you.
But I also still agree with him on holding out because he deserves his money, which is why it sucks, because there's going to be this stalemate between both sides as we've seen before.
Yeah, I'm all for every player holding out and trying to get paid. That's why you get to the NFL. You want to get paid. It's like any job. You try and make the most money possible. If I'm the Vikings, I don't think you can pay him. What'll be interesting, though, is that because the Vikings only have $13.1 million in cap, you'll probably see some other roster moves before they sign Cook, if they plan on signing Cook, because they're going to have to free up a little more space. And do you guys think that maybe trading away Stephon Diggs, they had re-signing Dalvin Cook in mind, because you can't have another $20 million contract on the books?
Honestly, yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
With the first pick of the 2020 MLB Draft, the Detroit Tigers select Spencer Torkelson, a third baseman from Arizona State University.
Drew, what are your thoughts?
All right, so first overall pick is Spencer Torkelson to the Detroit Tigers. He's a third baseman out of Arizona State. I actually really like this kid. He's been pretty much the number one overall prospect. It was known that he was going to go number one overall. He's got plus power, and his play vision's absurd. He takes a lot of walks, and I mean, he could be MLB ready literally as soon as this year, next year. He's pretty much right there already.
Soon?
Yeah. So really good pick by the Tigers.
John, what are your thoughts?
Well, I didn't even know it was happening. So,
Fair.
Yeah.
The teams, I'm expecting the Rams to recapture some of that and upset the Cowboys at home week 1.
Well, Max, under most situations, I'd reckon you're right. But not this particular situation, buddy. I'm going to have to go with these Dallas Cowboys. Laura, I know you're laughing at my southern accent, but I think in this particular instance, as we're discussing this particular topic, it's apropos to sit up there and talk to my southern friends out there. We all know I love my buddy Jerry Jones.
So you just heard Stephen A. Smith, who clearly thinks that the Cowboys are going to upset the Los Angeles Rams in Week 1. Drew, what are your thoughts?
I'm with them. That's a win.
John?
It's a loss.
Loss.
That is 0-1.
Their next game is home against the Falcons.
That's another win.
It's a win.
It's a win.
That's 1-1.
At Seattle Seahawks.
That is a loss.
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 1-2.
Home against the Cleveland Browns.
That's a win.
Win.
Loss.
2-2.
Home against the New York Giants.
That is a win.
Big dub.
Easy money.
3-2.
The Arizona Cardinals come to Dallas on Monday Night Football.
That is a win.
It's a loss.
That's a loss.
3-3.
At the Washington Redskins.
That is a loss.
It's a win.
That's a win.
4-3.
At the Philadelphia Eagles.
That is a loss.
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 4-4.
Home against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's a loss.
Loss.
Win.
4-5.
Coming out of the bye at the Minnesota Vikings.
That is a loss.
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 4-6.
Home against the Washington Redskins.
That is a win.
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 5-6.
At the Baltimore
That
Ravens.
is a loss.
Loss.
5-7.
At the Cincinnati Bengals.
That is a loss.
Loss.
Win.
5-8.
Home against the San Francisco 49ers.
Loss.
That is a loss.
Good night.
That is 5-9.
Home against the Philadelphia Eagles.
That is a win.
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 6-9.
They finished out their season at the New York Giants.
That is a loss.
Win.
Win.
7-9. Uh-oh.
With the second pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Chase Young, defensive end, Ohio State.
The Redskins open up their season home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Drew, what do you think?
That is a loss.
John?
Loss.
Loss.
0-1.
At the Arizona Cardinals.
That is a loss.
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 0-2.
At the Cleveland Browns.
Loss.
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 0-3.
Home against the Baltimore Ravens.
That's a loss.
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 0-4.
Home against the Los Angeles Rams.
That is a win.
Loss.
Loss.
0-5.
At the New York Giants.
That is another win.
That's a win.
That's a win.
All right, so 1-5.
Home against the Dallas Cowboys.
Win.
Loss.
Loss.
1-6.
Coming out of the bye. Home against the New York Giants.
A win.
Win.
Loss. They're not winning that twice.
2-6. We're giving it to them.
At the Detroit Lions.
That is a loss.
Loss.
Win.
2-7.
Home against the Cincinnati Bengals.
That is a loss.
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 2-8.
At the Dallas Cowboys.
That is a loss.
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 2-9.
At the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That is a loss.
Loss.
Win.
2-10.
At the San Francisco 49ers.
Loss.
That is a big time win.
Loss.
Loss.
2-11.
Home against the Seattle Seahawks.
Loss.
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 2-12.
Home against the Carolina Panthers.
That's a big win.
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 3-12.
At the Philadelphia Eagles to close out the season.
That's
Loss.
a
Loss.
Yeah.
All right, so final record 3-13.
And the
Fields?
for Trevor
Lawrence?
Yeah.
No.
Haskins. Today we welcome Alex Leader to the HangTime Headlines podcast. Alex is the starting point guard for Gettysburg College. In high school, he received all-conference, all-county, and all-state awards. This past season, he started every game and averaged over 13 points and 4 assists. Alex, thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Hey, so what are some personal goals that you have for next year, Alex?
So personal goals of myself is just to improve my efficiency, improve doing the little things defensively, and really improve as a leader for our team, as well as I really want to shoot over 50% from the field and 40% from three and 90% from the free throw line. So those are just some statistical goals, and then obviously leadership and on the defensive end as well.
Damn, shooting high, I like it.
Yeah.
40, 50, 90 season's fire, bro.
So, what are some team goals for next year?
Our team goals is win the conference championship, and really just the way to do that, just win each game, every game, take each game at a time. Basically focus on the next game coming up. So I think the most important game is the next one on our radar. So.
Have you ever played on the same court as someone notable?
For sure. I grew up playing in the AAU scene. Played against one team. I remember the Carolina Diamonds. They had Bam Adebayo, Malik Monk, Dennis Smith Jr. Another team had the backcourt was De'Aaron Fox and Carson Edwards.
Holy shit!
Oh my god!
Yeah, they're nasty.
Did they smoke you?
Yeah. Did anybody?
The team with De'Aaron Fox and Carson Edwards did, but we actually beat Carolina Diamonds.
Damn. Respect.
Yeah, we went off that game, so they were missing shots too, which helped.
All right, so a nice little segue. What was your best game ever?
I had one game. I had 40. I had 41. It was in in the summer league, and I was at the time I was only in 8th grade, and I was playing in a high school summer league on a high school summer league team, and I guess I found my rhythm, or I was just hitting shots. I hit 8 or 9 threes that game. And I had 41. So.
Go off.
Dude, I don't even think I've dropped 41 in my pickup career.
I was definitely in the zone that game, but sometimes you play well, sometimes you don't. But that was definitely one of my better days.
Do you have a greatest moment on the court?
I played at a school in Maryland called Salisbury University. So my greatest moment would probably be playing for them. We played in the NCAA tournament, which was a great experience. We played in the conference championship game. So probably one of those two is probably my greatest experience so far at the college level for sure.
Can you talk a little bit more about the NCAA tournament and what it was like?
Well, yeah, I mean the NCAA tournament is just a great atmosphere. It's run really well, obviously by the NCAA. I just remember it was a great experience. Obviously, it was good competition.
The atmosphere must just be crazy. You guys must be hyped to go out there on the court.
Definitely. They had buses from our school, and we played. It was a far drive. I think we played in New Jersey or maybe New York. I don't remember exactly what the school was, but their gym was really nice, and they took buses from our school, that area, and they took them all the way there and back with just fans. So we actually had some support, which was really nice.
Who was your idol growing up as a kid?
My idol was definitely Jason Williams. So I always try to play like him. Yeah, Jason Williams was the GOAT. I mean, I feel like for all people our age, we just white basketball players. That's a lot of people looked up to.
So kind of in the same light, who do you try and model your game after? Is it Jason Williams or someone else?
I try to take a lot of things from a lot of different people. So I watch a lot of Steve Nash, Steph Curry, just a lot of different players. I even watch people that might be the same age as me. I watch Tremont Waters a lot. Basically small guards that are scoring guards that have a similar. Kemba Walker is another guy who I watch a lot of. Just guys that have a similar build and play a similar way, play a similar style to me.
So what do you think is the best part of your game?
Probably to get my teammates involved for shots is my best attribute. Especially playing at the next level.
Are you a big trash talker? What's like the worst thing you've said or heard on the court?
I'm honestly not a big trash talker at all. I don't really say anything to the other team or whatnot.
I respect it. You don't need
the worst
it.
Experience has been for sure though when I was playing like AAU basketball and we were playing this team and this one kid like made a layup on the other team and came back down and punched this kid. He was really small. This kid punched this kid twice on my team in the face. And then the kid on my team was a lot bigger. Then he took off and ran. So the other kid took off after him. and then the whole, the parents came in, jumped on the court, and they jumped him. So then the whole benches and everything cleared. Like, they had to get the police, out there, to get up. And it was an insane experience. People got arrested and all that. So.
Do you remember, what led up to that?
I think it was just a really chippy. It was a really chippy game. I remember that was definitely a thing. People were pushing and shoving. I mean, my team was a big trash talking team. I've always just been that guy that's just chilling. I'm just I just play ball. If you're going to talk, I'll be really, bro. I'm not going to get in too much into that, but my team was definitely had some people and had some parents that would love to talk crazy and all that. So teams didn't really like us. So there was definitely some angst between the two organizations.
It makes it way more fun.
Yeah, it's definitely it can be an advantage for some people for sure.
Yeah. So, who do you think is the most underrated player in the NBA right now?
Most underrated player in the NBA? I would have to go with Devontae Graham. A lot of people are not hip to Devontae Graham right now, but I feel like last season he really proved himself. I mean, obviously his team's not very good, but just as a point guard, he is someone that can really ball. He did really good stuff at Kansas, but I mean, he's just proven that he can do it at the next level.
Makes that Terry Rozier contract
questionable.
Yeah, it's not a good look for Scary Terry.
So I just had one last question. I found out that you went to Bullis, and I went to prep in high school.
Okay.
And so I was just wondering if you had any crazy, Bullis prep game or even like a IAC game that you remember that would have been cool in high school.
Definitely. Georgetown Prep was our biggest rival. I remember I played only one season at Bullis. I played my junior year, and I think we actually beat Prep 3 times that year. So Prep wasn't too good.
Yeah.
They had Jared Bynum, who was a freshman though.
That was my freshman year.
Yeah, really, he was a really good player. So I definitely remember playing Prep. We played them in the semifinals before we made it to the championship, and it was just a great atmosphere. I mean, those IAC basketball games, I'm sure you probably remember them very clear. Those games are some of the most fun games that I've played in my life.
All right, thank you so much, Alex. This was a fire interview.
Yeah, this was awesome. We appreciate it.
Definitely appreciate you guys. Y'all take care.
Ballin' crazy with the HangTime.